man's world. Step into a world of action.
beat it. The feeling you get from a Coca-Cola can't beat the real thing. I gotta dance to the heat of the day. Hear the beat, it's coming your way. Check these feet and you're gonna say, hey, can't shake it, can't fake it. Feeling you get from a Coca-Cola, you can't beat the feeling.
Life is full of decisions, some of the head, some of the heart. Take your next car. Will it have a catalytic converter that removes 95% of pollutants? Will it be clean yet lose nothing in performance? Will it have all this at no extra cost? In short, will it be one of the new generation of Audis? Vorsprung durch Technik, as both your head and your heart would say. is full of decisions, some of the head, some of the heart. Take your next car. Will it have a catalytic converter that removes 95% of pollutants? Will it be clean yet lose nothing in performance? Will it have all this at no extra cost? In short, will it be one of the new generation of Audis? Vorsprung durch Technik, as both your head and your heart would say.
Hello. I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm having a dinner party and I've run out of coffee.
Come in.
Thank you.
Will Gold Blend be too good for your guests?
Oh, I think they could get used to it.
It's a very sophisticated coffee.
They have very sophisticated taste.
Do they?
Yes. Well, I must be getting back.
Now, golden roasted, richer, smoother, Nescafe Gold Blend.
Have you met your new neighbour yet?
Oh, I've popped in for coffee.
Excuse me.
You saved my life the other night.
The dinner party.
The coffee. Very successful.
How can you ever thank me?
I'll try and think of something. In the meantime, at least I can return your Gold Blend.
Look, I'm in the middle of something right now, but perhaps...
Perhaps.
Now, golden roasted, richer, smoother, Nescafe Gold Blend.
Just my neighbour. How's the coffee?
Perfect. Where'd you get it from?
I have it delivered. You're not going to believe this.
You're right, I'm not.
I'm really sorry I'm late.
Late! We're on the coffee.
Gold Blend. Just in time.
Well, now, I think you know everyone, except...
We've already met.
We share the same taste in coffee.
Golden roasted, richer, smoother, Nescafe Gold Blend.
You're always this late.
I won't be tomorrow.
What's happening tomorrow?
I'm inviting you for dinner.
What makes you think I'll accept?
You can't resist my coffee.
If this were a restaurant, they'd be putting chairs on tables about now.
And I'd be asking you back to my place for coffee.
Of course, I wouldn't accept.
Gold Blend?
I could be persuaded.
Golden roasted, richer, smoother, Nescafe Gold Blend.
Well?
Deserves to be savoured. Pity I have to leave.
Leave?
I'm on the first flight to Milan in the morning.
That's terrible.
Why?
We don't serve Gold Blend in Milan.
I'm going to get changed. The coffee's right there.
Gold Blend. I'm impressed. I'll get it, shall I? Hello?
Good evening.
Do you want the lady of the house?
Well,
She's getting changed. Could I offer you a coffee?
Golden roasted, richer, smoother, Nescafe Gold Blend.
Who was at the door?
Oh, he said he was a neighbor. I told him you were in the bedroom.
And did you tell him who you are?
He didn't ask. Great coffee.
Hi.
hi.
Was it something I said?
It's just business.
Long?
A month.
It's long.
I called round last night, but we had company.
You mean my brother? Came round for coffee.
Brother.
Golden roasted, richer, smoother, Nescafe Gold Blend.
I forgot to say, I'll be in New York.
I hope you remember to take some Gold Blend with you.
So you might like to know I'm staying at the Plaza.
Good night. Good night, Lucy. You're supposed to be in New York.
I didn't like the coffee.
Golden roasted, richer, smoother, Nescafe Gold Blend.
I thought you might have joined me in New York.
Whatever gave you that idea?
Yes.
I don't think this is going to work.
You may be right.
We don't seem to have much in common.
I know. I hate opera, you hate jazz.
And I loathe modern art.
It's my job.
So, about the only thing we do have in common is...
Our taste in coffee.
Golden roasted, richer, smoother, Nescafe Gold Blend.
Hello.
I want to see you. Now.
Hello? How are you? Do you know she's on the phone again?
Another crucial conversation about pop music, I suppose.
Yeah, well, he says he drank a whole bottle of vodka. It's terrible.
Makeup, clothes, hairstyles.
Did you hear about Karen? She said she's on the pill.
I wouldn't mind if it was something important.
It was a terrible fight. The police had to break it up.
Well, she hasn't got 2 words to say to us.
Kids today, they may not talk to their families, but they talk to their friends. And all this week they talk to the Daily Mail about everything from law and order to religion, royalty to racism. What parents don't know, only in the Daily Mail.
For nearly 20 years, The Observer has had a full-time specialist writing on the environment. Sadly, mankind has managed to keep the typewriters busy. In the 70s, there was asbestos to worry about, and plutonium pollution at Aldermaston. We covered these and many more stories. In the 80s, we were the first to disclose the effects of acid rain in Britain. We highlighted the dangers of lead in petrol. We started a Save Our Countryside campaign. Sometimes it seemed rather a lonely business. But it wasn't until 1985 that most of the other nationals began to hire their own full-time environmental specialists. It's nice to see them, of course. But compared to The Observer, they're still a little green. Since 1791, there have been 57 British Prime Ministers. The Observer has annoyed every single one of them. Can you think of a better reason to read a newspaper?
Three of a kind, or were they? Whatever happened to the third member of the famous comedy trio? This week in a Sun exclusive, David Copperfield tells all.
Drink almost wrecked my career and my marriage. In desperation, I spent every penny I had and dried out.
Read his dramatic story only in the Sun. They're overpowering and over here. Meet America's super wrestlers and the Sun Christmas catalog. Get it free. All your Christmas shopping in 48 bargain pack pages. It's all in the Sun this week.
Starting this Sunday in the news of the world, the A to Z of soaps, an ABC of everything you ought to know about TV's top soaps and a few things you shouldn't. Who modelled scanty underwear at 55? Which EastEnder sold porky pies? The ghost of Coronation Street and the secret psychic of Neighbours. Who are they? And which saucy soap got too hot for the American censors? All is revealed in the A to Z of soaps in 4 weekly parts starting this Sunday in Sunday Magazine, free with the news of the world.
ready for the judgment day. Joe, is your license to the shoreline sewer? I don't believe this. I do not believe this. All right, guys. All right.
Them that Scotch shall have, them that's not shall lose. So the Bible said, and it still is news. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own, that's got his own.
Family from Normanton, West Yorkshire.
And this is our commercial for radio.
Dad built a barbecue.
That's what you're doing.
You're working up a bit of a sweat, dear. Get that t-shirt off. This is a job for radio. This is the villain. Boo! Hey, Sue! And this is the hero. Yeah! Here we are. Radium strikes again. No dirt.
No smells.
No smells. Oh, Alan, it's a pity you don't fit in the washer. At the end, to dirt and odors.
If you're a Radion family, dial 100 and ask for free phone Radion.
My name's Kay Scorer and I'm a market researcher. It's my job to find out from my clients who their target audience is. That means who are the people who are going to buy their products. Not only who they are, but what sort of people they are, what are their concerns in life, and how they feel about my clients' products. Quite often the research that I do is then used to brief advertising agencies to write commercials or press advertisements. I worked in the advertising industry for many years and I'm now freelance. I work on my own. We're going to be talking about Tree of Knowledge. Tree of Knowledge is what's called a part work magazine. The difference between a part work and an ordinary magazine is that a part work is one that you collect. You buy it every week and you keep it in a binder. So in the end you have what's equivalent to a book, really. Many part works are on things like DIY and gardening. Tree of Knowledge is an illustrated encyclopedia which you collect in separate sections. There's a section on technology, one on biology, and so on. The publisher of Tree of Knowledge is Marshall Cavendish. And before they go to all the expense of producing the magazines, paying the journalists and researchers that they need to do that, they need to know that there are enough people out there who are going to buy it. So our first task was to find out how many people would be interested in collecting a part work like this. The first thing we did was to make an educated guess as to what type of people they would be. And it seemed to us that it would be families with children who were beginning to do homework and school projects. So families with children aged between, say, 8 and 16. We needed to know if there were enough of those families to sustain part work and make it profitable. And the first place that we went to for the numbers was the government statistics. When the government conducts a census, as they recently have, all the information is collated and it's available to anyone who wants to use it. The only thing that isn't available is the names and addresses of the people who contributed. But you can go there and find out how many families there are in the country with children of that age. You can also get from that how many families there are going to be in the future with children in that age group, because the government statisticians produce projections which tell us what the country is going to be like in 1995, the year 2000, even as far ahead as 2020. So we found that there were enough families with children in that age group, but having children in that age group wasn't enough. Tree of Knowledge costs £1.35 a week, and it will go on for perhaps 50 weeks. So we needed to find families who had enough disposable income to purchase it. Again, the government helps us out because they have data on people's income and disposable income. Disposable income means the money they have left after they've paid their taxes. It's not just a matter of having money, though. It's being prepared to spend that money on books that you have in the home. And many parents feel that it's the school's responsibility to provide books for children that they will need for their education. They also feel that libraries should have them, and they don't need to have them at home. What we found was that it tended to be parents in the middle classes who were prepared to spend money on having books at home for their children to use for schoolwork. In the market research industry, we tend to classify the population according to their age, their sex, but also their social class. And what we define in market research as Bs and C1s were the most likely people to buy books to have at home. Bs and C1s are upper middle and middle class people. But that's not to say that the C2s, who are working class people, lower middle class people, were not interested. There are an awful lot of people in that social class, and many of them are interested in having books at home. So when we came on to do more research, we had to represent upper middle class, and working class parents and children in our sample. So we'd established that there were enough people out there with enough money to make Tree of Knowledge worthwhile. What we then needed to know was, what were these people like? Although Marshall Cavendish spend their whole lives producing magazines, they do understand that the rest of the world is not that interested in magazines. Other people have different concerns. So it was my task to find out what these people were like, what their concerns were, and in particular how they felt about books and education. And to do this, we do what's called focus group discussions. In a group discussion, you bring together 6 or 8 people who are relatively similar and just get them to talk to you about their concerns, about their lives, but also in this case about how they felt about books and education. We did group discussions with Bs and C1s and group discussions with C2s. We did separate group discussions with mothers and fathers because people of the same sex usually find it easier to talk when they're with other people of the same sex. And we did groups with children. Again, we had boys and girls in separate groups, and we had children aged between about 8 and 12 at this stage. We found interesting differences between men and women. Mothers' hopes for their children are that they will be nice people, that they'll get on with other people. Mothers want to produce socially successful human beings. Fathers, on the other hand, want to make sure that their children succeed in the world in a much more sort of financial sense. So mothers tended to concentrate on their child in the home and what sort of person that child was, whereas fathers wanted to be pushing their children outside into the world and making them successful in the big wide world. we found that what both sexes of parent had in common was a certain amount of insecurity about their ability to teach their children anything. They know that education has changed a lot since they were at school, not only in terms of educational techniques. For example, doing projects at home was unheard of when many parents were at school, but also in terms of the sort of information that's available. Mothers in particular were very nervous about trying to help their children with any work on science and technology. Fathers didn't admit to being nervous about this, but we actually found that fathers knew as little about modern technology as mothers did, so that they were less willing to admit that. Children were slightly sceptical too about their parents' ability to help them with homework, because they do feel that their parents are very old, of course, and probably don't know too much about computers and modern technology. So we now understood something about parents and children, how they felt about education, how parents feel they can help their children at home. What we needed to understand next was how they felt about the magazine that we had to offer them. Now, to produce a magazine, as you can imagine, costs a lot of money. Not only do Marshall Cavendish have to pay the journalists and researchers, but they have to pay the printers and the typesetters and everyone else who takes part in putting a magazine together. So what they do at this stage is produce what they call a dummy magazine. A dummy magazine is produced these days on a small computer in Marshall Cavendish's offices, and they have journalists and researchers write just one issue. They include pictures in it, which they get from picture libraries, where you can find pictures of all sorts of different things. So Marshall Cavendish produced about 30 dummy magazines, all of the same issue. And these magazines we show to people, again in more focus group discussions, but we also place them with families around the country. We place them with families in the north, the south, and the far southwest, and ask them to live with the magazine for a week, for everyone in the family to use it, and for them to fill in a questionnaire for us at the end to tell us what they thought. This not only helped us to sort out what people liked and disliked, but helped us to improve the magazine. And something that we found in particular was that one item in it, which was about the eye, was particularly successful. The others were not quite so successful. So what we did was take what people liked about the eye section and try to apply that to the other sections too. What they liked was easy to understand diagrams, very well labelled diagrams, and short pieces of writing rather than long and involved copy. We also learned something interesting about what we should call the magazine. We had researched a number of titles for it. Tree of Knowledge was the most successful, but some of those titles included the word encyclopedia. And whenever we mentioned the word encyclopedia to people, they practically yawned. They just said, well, an encyclopedia is something that's really heavy and dusty, and it's full of old information, and it has no pictures, and it's very difficult to read. So we knew that the last thing we should call it was an encyclopedia, although that's really what it is. And what people really liked about Tree of Knowledge was that it was much more lively than an encyclopedia. It had plenty of illustrations, and it was actually quite a good read, as well as being a useful reference book. Advertising is an expensive business. To produce a television commercial can cost between £30,000 and £100,000, and sometimes even more. And British Airways, for example, have been known to spend, it is rumoured, £1 million on one television commercial. So you don't want to go making a television commercial unless you're absolutely sure that the people who it's aimed at understand what you're trying to say and will enjoy the commercial. What we tend to do at this stage is to produce a rough commercial. And in this instance, we had two ideas, one of which is called Teacher, and the other one was Rap. And what we produced was a series of boards which illustrate the key frames, the key scenes from each commercial, along with what's called a narrative tape. A narrative tape describes to you what would happen in the commercial, and also includes the voiceover, the actual voice that you would hear in the commercial. And in the case of a commercial with music, the narrative tape also has the music on it. So we showed, again, to more group discussions with parents and with children, these two rough commercials, Teacher and Rap.
Now, who can tell me what this part is called?
Does anyone know what causes an earthquake? How is radar able to see things like aeroplanes?
The answers to these and hundreds of other questions can be found in Tree of Knowledge. Each week it builds into a comprehensive and up-to-date encyclopedia that can provide essential reference material for school projects. It explains new technologies and old civilizations. It covers art and music and our planet's battle to survive. There's even a test in each issue to see how much you've learnt.
Now, Peter, perhaps you'd like to tell us all how to split the atom.
Get Tree of Knowledge, and homework needn't be hard work.
Yeah. This is a pupil. How does it grow? In the blink of an eye, we'll let you know. What happens when the earth begins to quake? Come on, Sonny, try to keep awake. If you wanna know why they call this stealth, find out now, it may be good for your health.
If you want help with school projects, get Tree of Knowledge. Each week it builds into a comprehensive, easy-to-use encyclopedia and atlas.
Animals, plants, technology. You gotta know it all to get an ology. There's art, music, and history too. You're gonna know them all by the time you're through.
So if you want a better education, get Tree of Knowledge. It can help every child through school and college.
Yeah.
Both the commercials communicated very clearly what we wanted to say about Tree of Knowledge. It's really very simple. But teacher was seen as being rather dull and old-fashioned, even by parents, because parents appreciate that their children are very demanding when it comes to advertising. Something that we learn in all the research that we do with children is they have very high standards when it comes to commercials production techniques. Whereas most partworks advertising is very straightforward. When you're advertising partworks to children, you need to work a little bit harder. And you'll see from the finished commercial that it includes a combination of live action and animation, which is actually quite difficult to do and quite expensive. But it was necessary because children just won't buy cheap and old-fashioned commercials. Even though the rap commercial was preferred by both parents and children, the children were a little bit critical about the rapper. He sounded too much like a grown-up. He really wasn't very street. So we had to aim to improve that in the finished commercial, while still making it acceptable to parents, because parents don't want him to sound too dangerous. It's very difficult when you're trying to appeal to two target audiences like this. You have to appeal to the parents. They have to understand what you're trying to say. And in this case, they have to be reassured that the product, the magazine, is worthwhile. You have to appeal to the children. They have to be convinced that they actually want to read this thing. But you also have to give the children the ammunition to persuade their parents that this is going to be good for them. In the same way as in breakfast cereal advertising, you have to reassure parents that there is something good for them in the cereal. You have to show children that it's good fun. And you have to give children the ammunition to go to their parents and say, but mummy, it's got vitamins in it, or mummy, it's got honey in it. So it's quite a complicated area. The other thing that's important is to convince the parents that the children will enjoy it. Parents have to see that this commercial is aimed at their children. So they're not going to be buying something which the children are just going to push under the bed and forget about.
Radar can't see the stealth from a fly. In issue 1, we'll tell you why. How come a cheetah can run so fast? And with so many hunters, how long will it last?
If you want help with school projects, read Tree of Knowledge. Each week it builds into an easy-to-use reference for the whole family.
Want to know about Mozart? It's all here. What he wrote, why he wrote, it all becomes clear. And just to make sure that you're not fooling, there's a weekly test that'll help your schooling.
So read Tree of Knowledge, and homework needn't be hard work.
Ever wondered what happens when an earthquake quakes? Or how they're measured? It's no great shakes. How's the pupil work? Want an explanation? Find out now in a new publication.
If you want help with school projects, read Tree of Knowledge. Each week it builds into an easy-to-use reference for the whole family.
History, animals, technology. Test yourself each week and get an ology.
So read Tree of Knowledge, and homework needn't be hard work.
You'll notice in the finished commercials, and in most commercials that are aimed at children, that the stars tend to be boys. And if you look at commercials for children's toys, you will notice that the winners of all the games are boys. This is because boys reject any product which uses girls in a prominent position in advertising. They will say, if it uses girls, it must be for girls. It's a girly product, I don't want it. Whereas girls will accept that if a commercial uses boys, what it's saying is this is for people. This is an unfortunate state of affairs, and it's been going on for far too long, and the way around it is twofold. First of all, for boys to accept that girls are people too, and not to object when they see girls winning games or reading magazines. But also, it's time for girls to start objecting to this. The only reason that we continue to do it is that we know that girls don't mind. Well, if girls do mind, they should say so, and they should write to the advertisers and let them know that they do. So having gone to the expense of producing the commercial, Marshall Cavendish now have the much greater expense of putting it on the television. To run an advertising campaign on television, nationally, costs millions of pounds, particularly the sort of weight, that is, the number of showings that Marshall Cavendish are inclined to use. They need to safeguard themselves a little bit. What they will tend to do is, first of all, test out the commercial in one region, or perhaps a few regions of the country. Then, if sales are going well, they'll roll out, as they term it, to the rest of the country. In this instance, we knew that parents get particularly concerned about their children's education and whether they're helping them enough when children are starting a new school term, a new school year, and in particular a new school. So we felt that the best time to go out was during the late summer, just before people started their new school year. It's also quite complicated to position the advertising when it's for parents and children. It needs to be in children's programs. It also needs to be in peak time adult programs, such as soap operas in the early evening. But the best time to show a commercial like this is at a time when parents and children are watching together. That way it sparks off discussion in the household about whether they're going to buy the magazine or not. And it also lets everyone in the household know that other people are aware of it. So if the child wants to ask for the magazine, he or she can be sure that his or her mother or father has seen the commercial. And likewise, if the parents want to buy it, they can be fairly confident that their children have seen the commercial too and know what it is they're getting. The biggest question in any advertising campaign is it working? And Marshall Cavendish are very lucky in that it's easier for them to tell whether it's working or not than almost any other type of manufacturer. They can tell as early as the morning after the first commercials have gone out on the TV how many magazines they're selling. They go to the newsagents and they find out how many have been sold out that day. They then measure how many are sold in the second week, because repeat purchase is very important in this market. They need to make sure that people are going to collect and not just buy one and then stop buying. They have very sophisticated computer models which let them know, once they've measured the first couple of weeks, how many people are likely to keep on buying the whole series. After the first couple of weeks, they'll make the decision as to whether to go or not to go. If sales have dropped off too much from week 1 to week 2, then they could just pull the whole thing and not go any further, because they really can't afford to sustain it unless a certain number of people are buying. So they will know within 2 or 3 weeks of the Tree of Knowledge being launched whether it's going to continue to run for a year or be canned after the first few weeks.
I didn't buy it.
Sally says, get better in her own way.
You got my job, Sal. Oh.
Jimmy makes more of a noise about it. But you know, nothing says get better soon better than Lucasade.
Come on, Noisy.
He's well on the mend now. And when he wouldn't eat, Lucasade gave him energy to help you get him there. Yes, Lucasade. Lucasade aids recovery.
garden certainly tires us out. And after all that hard work, we really need a rest and a Lucasade. We've grown up loving Lucasade. It's not just refreshing, it's got glucose energy.
Who's for the fair, then?
We've always used Lucasade to aid recovery. Now we also have it because, well...
Lucasade refreshes you through the ups and downs of the day.
Lucasade, the refreshing glucose drink.
Shut up and sit down.
Would you put up with being told what to do all the time? Would you let yourself be abused? Would you spend hour after hour shut away from your friends? Or be forced to leave home? To live on the streets? Would you let everyone else make decisions about you and say nothing? You would. If you were one of the many children who have no choice. They can't change their world on their own, but we can help.
So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over, and a new one just begun. And so this is Christmas. I hope you had fun. The near and the dear ones, the old and the young. A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it doesn't fall.
Please call 0839 800 900 and make a donation.
All over Britain, people are busy preparing for a special event.
It's happening very soon, so watch out for events in your area. Because April the 1st to the 7th is Children's Society Week.
Every year, thousands of tribespeople are made homeless by the ruthless destruction of the world's rainforests. They are being robbed of land that has been theirs for centuries, as 1 acre of forest is razed to the ground every second. And it's mainly the greed of just a few that is destroying the forests, the plants, the animals, and ultimately the people who live there. Even if you couldn't care less about any of these facts, there's one thing you should care about, because it affects you. This is not a scare. It's already started. Our campaigns are making a difference. With your money, we can do much more.
In the last 12 months, Africa has paid out over 4 times as much in debt repayments as it has received in emergency aid. In the last 12 months, Africa has paid out over 4 times as much in debt repayments as it has received in emergency aid. In the last 12 months, Africa has paid out over 4 times as much in debt repayments as it has received in emergency aid. In the last 12 months, Africa has paid
Did you know that each year 5 million little children die in the third world from drinking water polluted with feces? Now you do know. Are you going to write to your MP and ask why we now give only half the proportion of aid to the third world that we gave 10 years ago? Because the government won't do anything unless they think the voters care. You won't? Well, if you don't mind little black children drinking out of a toilet, you won't mind little white children drinking out of a toilet either. Will you? Or is there a difference?
The amendment is vital because the quality of water used in the production of Scotch whisky is of great significance.
What I describe as an obvious injustice is that the value of luncheon vouchers has not increased for many years.
Here, here.
Suggests that every dog should wear a disc, which would be not only a form of identification, but a sign that the license fee had been paid.
Sunday, sporting events take place at which the Sunday Observance Act, 1780, is openly and flagrantly breached.
Caused by the imposition of VAT on chocolate biscuits. Now, this is a very serious matter for the biscuit eaters of this country.
What quantity of still and carbonated waters were sold in the House of Commons refreshment department in the last year?
What your MP isn't talking about is that 5 million children die in the third world every year. That's the equivalent of all the under-5s in Britain, France, Italy, Spain and Germany. And they don't talk about why the aid we give to the third world is worth less than half what it was 7 years ago. It would only take about a dozen letters to make your MP talk about that instead. Or maybe you think what they're talking about at present is more important.
In South Africa, 14 babies in every 1,000 die in infancy. White babies, that is. As many as a quarter of all black babies will die before they are 1 year old. Life expectancy in South Africa can be quite good. The average white will live well past 70. The average non-white never reaches 60. The World Health Organization says that 1 doctor per every 500 people is a healthy ratio. White South Africans have 1 doctor for every 330. Most blacks share a doctor with more than 19,000 others. So if you buy a Cape apple today, you really are helping to keep the doctor away.
Now, you've no idea what this stuff she took was.
Look, she just wanted to have a good time.
Are you sure you don't know? It's important.
Pills. I mean, I don't know what they were.
How many did she take?
Don't know.
Where did she get them from?
The party. No, I don't know.
You can go now.
But we're her friends.
Taking pills or barbs depresses the central nervous system. Misuse leads to loss of coordination, loss of sex drive, loss of memory, and the risk of falling into a coma. Drugs. Don't find out the hard way. Sniffing glue or solvents can cut oxygen to the brain. Without oxygen, brain cells die. Toxic substances like lead enter the bloodstream. Your head swims, then you lose consciousness. Drugs. Don't find out the hard way. If you share a needle just once, you risk getting infected with blood poisoning, hepatitis, and HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. All from one prick with a dirty needle. Drugs. Don't find out the hard way. Amphetamines cause a sudden rise in blood pressure. The heartbeat becomes irregular. Actions can become frenzied with violent mood swings, followed by complete exhaustion. Drugs. Don't find out the hard way.
Man is born free. That is his natural state.
is God-given right. Nowhere is this tradition more deeply held than in Britain. Often in our long history, we have stood alone, facing the mightiest armies of the world to defend our freedom. Sometimes at tremendous sacrifice, never doubting that the price is worth paying. Freedom has been both our strength and our battle cry. If we have a fault, it arises out of our respect for freedom. In war, we rally and win. In peace, we are less vigilant. Our famous tolerance has allowed imported ideologies like Marxism and its stepbrother, socialism, to creep into our thinking. These ideas are foreign to our nature. For we are a proud nation of individuals. We flourish under freedom. In the winter of 78-79, the infamous winter of discontent, socialism had left our dead unburied, our streets full of rotting rubbish, and our national pride only a distant memory. On May 3rd, 1979, the British people turned their back on socialism and failure. We elected a new government and a new leader.
Let me give you my vision. A man's right to work as he will, to spend what he earns, to own property, to have the state as servant and not as master. These are the British inheritance. They are the essence of a free economy, and on that freedom all our other freedoms depend.
The balance of power was to turn from the state to the individual. Give the people back their economic freedom. Allow the spirit of enterprise to rise again. In 1979, we in Britain were one of the most highly taxed nations in the industrialized world. And because of this, one of the least productive. Step one was to return to each person the lion's share of his wages.
Someone really loves you. Guess who? Someone really cares. Guess who? Something in your heart. Oh, this surely you see. Oh, that the someone who really cares is me. Someone will wait eternally. Someone who wants your love oh, so desperately. Open your heart, oh, then surely you'll see, oh, that the someone who really cares, who really cares is me.
I want every child in Britain to have the best. But 13 years of the Conservatives have left us with a divided Britain, a two-tier Britain, where opportunity and care increasingly depend on what you can afford to pay. If the Conservatives win, they'll continue to privatize the National Health Service and make it more like the American system. I don't want that, and I know that you don't want it either. What we do want is a high-quality National Health Service, free at time of need, not one that's weakened by underfunding and opt-outs. The Labour government will modernize the National Health Service and will start immediately with an investment program that means an extra £1 billion. It's part of building a Britain that works for all our children. On April the 9th, the choice is between recession and recovery, between privatization and modernization. It's a choice between fear and hope. It's time for a change. It's time for Labour.
We're not concerned about handicapped people. We're not concerned about their place in society. We're not concerned about their feelings. Our concern is making the best film we can. That way, photographers can change the way people think. We're not concerned about racism. We're not concerned about language barriers. We're not concerned about victimization. Our concern is making the best film we can. That way, photographers can change the way people think.
Don't know much about history, don't know much biology, don't know much about a science book, don't know much about the French I took. love you. And I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be. Don't know much about geography, don't know much trigonometry, don't know much about algebra, don't know what a fine rule is for.
Eddie Cochran. How to get to Eddie Cochran. I remember, I blew practically every penny on this just knock-'em-dead wardrobe. So that night I said, a lot of good you did me, fellas.
Come on, everybody.
I just put on my Levi's and a sweatshirt and went down to that party.
Oh, well, we really have a party, but we gotta put a guard outside. If the folks come home, I'm afraid they're gonna have my eye.
I remember how embarrassed I was.
No more movies for a week or two. No more running around.
But Eddie asked me to stay.
Woo, come on, everybody.
Everything gonna be all right this morning. Oh, yeah. Woo! Yeah. Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21. When I make love to a woman, she can't resist. I want you to believe me, baby. I have lots of fun. I'm a rolling stone. I'm a man.
Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, wherever you'd lead me, I would surely follow. Girl, you put me through some pain and misery, and now you are standing on my doorstep, telling me how much you need me, baby. Ain't nobody home. Ain't nobody home. How many times I begged for you to come home, but you laughed at me and said, let me alone. Through my burning tears, I saw you walk away. Some people call me the space cowboy. Yeah. Some call me the gangster of love. Some people call me Maurice, 'cause I speak of the pompatus of love. People talk about me, baby. Say I'm doing you wrong, doing you wrong. Well, don't you worry, baby, don't worry, 'cause I'm right here, right here, right here, right here at home. 'Cause I'm a picker, I'm a grinner, I'm a lover, and I'm a
Darling, you got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go? If you say that you are mine, I'll be here till the end of time. So you got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go? Darling, you got to let me